Okay guys, part 2 of that video. As ever, the delivery man manages to get in there in the middle. So I was just going through the second goal, and that ball played into Sonny, and he pins the defenders because he cuts in on his right foot, and they've already seen him whip one from outside the box, and a really good save from Edison. And that technical quality of the player, they're concerned. They don't want to hang out a leg because he's so skillful. They're concerned about giving away a penalty. He commits players on their left-hand side, his right-hand side, and then plays an absolutely wonderful reverse pass into Maddison, who makes that run round the back of him. Perfectly timed. Great call from Maddison. You can almost, see without seeing it, Maddison shouting at the back of Sonny's head. Sonny hears it and then delivers an absolutely wonderful ball, perfectly weighted into Maddison, who can take it first touch. And that reverse pass with a player running onto it is so difficult to stop, because it's the geometry of it that it sets up. That first touch is naturally taking it through the line, and if a player hangs out a foot in the penalty area, again, there's that risk of giving away a pen. So it's really effective, a really nicely worked goal. And then the real key to it is Maddison's composure. That finish, he might well have spent all of the last 2 weeks doing finishing practice, but a lovely chipped finish over the goalkeeper, who comes out and spreads himself, and a lovely goal. So all round, technically good players doing great things, and being in areas, and that might be something that gets worked on a lot, but it might also be one of those things that, players playing together and getting to know each other, good players doing good things, leads to good results. The third goal, I think Ben Davies wins the ball this time, and this comes from much deeper on the edge of our box. So we're playing from deep, and then absolutely wonderful play from Dekihad. So Dekihad's now moved into the centre of midfield, and he is bouncing players, he's nutmegging players, he's got that quality. He sees the player coming and then just pops it through his legs, which is very satisfying. And then squeezes it in to Son, who just gets there in time, and again has that presence of mind and that composure just to clip it over. He's got two players converging, and I think if he plays it on the floor, one of them maybe gets studs to it and alters the course of the ball, but he has that composure to lift it, get it over, get it back to Dekihad, who takes it in his stride because he's so technically gifted and proficient. Drives on, and then you'd argue that probably, I think, the only foot wrong he had all game is he swings the ball a little bit too far for Solanke. So Solanke's breaking his neck to get up there. Solanke probably would have hoped for a ball just put across his front so he can come onto it first time and hit it. But he didn't show any sign of throwing his toys out the pram or being upset by the pass that was overhit. He accelerates onto it, turns, and again, just really good to see players committing to the action. If you actually see when Porro hits this ball and scores the goal, we've got at least another two players have made it up with the play and put themselves in positions of danger on the edge of the box. So really great to see the team committing to this. This was, had that proper feel of a counter-attacking goal, and a really nice finish from Porro. And I think Porro had a good game. He did the things he needed to do, and he did them well. And he capped it with a really nice finish. I have to confess, I didn't quite understand the semi, holding back on the celebration. I couldn't quite figure it out. It took me a moment until someone pointed out on social media about, he obviously came from City, right? He was training with City before he went to Sporting. I think he was on loan initially at Sporting from City, but he never played for the first team. But anyway, yeah, he seemed pretty happy with the goal anyway. The rest of the team were very happy with the goal. And it was a really good finish as well. Conviction, side foot / laces, and then really whips it. Doesn't give the keeper much of a chance because it kind of goes into this kind of between the head and the shoulder area. So it's really hard for the goalkeeper to get his hand up there. It's a lovely finish, crashes it in, and it's 3-0. And at this point, I think it's only 58 minutes in. I've seen this movie too many times, and I'm still not confident but I am really enjoying the way we're playing, and I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from the team, and I'm enjoying seeing Sarr chew up so much of that midfield, and I remain convinced that for him, there's a future number 6 role if he wants it. And then we had to weather the storm. We had to contend with City coming back into the game, as they naturally would. They would continue to hold possession. They would continue to press forward. They had chances. There was a couple of little bits. There was a couple of little moments where defensively we weren't necessarily as zoned in as we maybe needed to be. Haaland crashed one off the top of the bar. And it was far too easy. There were 2 occasions. It was far too easy for both Haaland and Gundogan to get in to that channel, which would have been on our left-hand side, but inside the penalty area. Cute ball by Kevin De Bruyne, who'd come on by this point into that position. But we dealt with it, or we got a bit of luck, or City didn't have their shooting boots on. And we defended for our lives. Vicario had another good save from that left-hand side. Solid save. Sarr clears it away and gets fouled by De Bruyne. Led to a little melee. And so we put our bodies on the line. We're 3-0 up, but we put our bodies on the line and we did the things we needed to do. Yes, there's still things that could be tightened up defensively. And then we get to the icing on the cake, which is the 4th goal, which is exactly what you want in a game like this, where you just don't want any team against Tottenham, but particularly this Man City team, you do not want them getting a foothold. You do not want them getting a goal with enough time to make a difference and maybe get a draw out of the game, or worse, if it had been, if they'd have scored in the 60th minute, all bets were off. But we did what you so often hope Tottenham can do, which is we put the game to bed with that 4th goal. And again, I think it comes from maybe a mistake, but I think maybe even Bergvall gets a little touch on a Jack Grealish pass. Again, City not quite being at it. Akanji probably could have stepped across the line of that ball and gone for it, but he puts his hands up thinking it's going to Kyle Walker. Gives away responsibility, and Werner's onto it. So Werner steps onto it. And while City are arguing among themselves, Werner, he's got the freedom of that left-hand side to run in, because he's a little bit narrow. He's got a really wide chunk of the pitch that he can go at against Kyle Walker. And again, Kyle Walker maybe makes that decision to go a second late or a fraction of a second late, but Werner makes his mind up. He commits to this situation. He doesn't hedge his bets in terms of trying to pin Walker and make him wonder whether he's going to go inside or outside. He makes an immediate decision. I'm going down the outside. So he steps on the afterburners. Walker's late to it, and obviously he's had a whole game of being run at by various players, and Werner just roasts him, just really easy. And you can just see him, even with the ball, chewing up the ground and stepping away from Walker. And at that point, it's, have you got the quality? Have you got the ball across? And we've seen Werner with no confidence play a ball that should be relatively easy for a player of his quality and get it wrong in other games, but he doesn't. Absolutely lovely ball across with his left foot, perfectly positioned. He gives Brennan Johnson all the advantage and all the chance, and the defenders very little chance whatsoever to do anything with that whatsoever. And Johnson, as he's been coached to do by the coaching staff, he's busting a gut to get himself into that area where he needs to be, because he will score goals, and that's what they've told him. That's what you can see, and it works out absolutely perfectly. So delighted for that. Really happy to see Werner and Johnson combining. I don't know how fit Timo is, but to see him stepping away from Kyle Walker was a real pleasure. And we then managed to walk away with a clean sheet, which is very rare for Tottenham, no matter how well we've played in a game. So overall, a really good performance, and plenty for us to be positive about. I think going forward, what I said in the previous video was I'm looking for performances, and what we saw on Saturday was a performance. Now, the result was wonderful, a 4-0 victory away from home at the champions. That's fantastic. Great goals, great play, good defensively, good press. Great from a tactical perspective in terms of causing Man City maximum trouble with the lineup that they've got available versus the lineup that we have available. That's exactly what you want from the coach, from the manager. But these performances now need to be provided game after game after game. And what is very typically Tottenham is to then go and play Fulham in the next game and to put on a stinker and get beaten by Fulham. And we did it last season. That absolutely mustn't happen. This is the point where this team needs to step forward, take control, and provide another performance and do the things we need to do to gain the edge on Fulham and to make a difference in that game and to get a positive result. So it's about performances. Again, I talked about points on the board matter at this stage, and that's absolutely still the way I feel, but performances are still so important. Go, put on a performance against Fulham and get the points. Against City, it was just a performance. Put on a performance, but you could still get beaten by City and play really well. Fulham, go and play well, do the things you need to do and get the points. Bournemouth, likewise. Performance, absolutely, but go and get those points. Walk away with the points before we've got some harder games coming up, or potentially harder games coming up. And then obviously in between all that, we've got Roma in midweek. So let's see how many changes we make for the Roma game. Let's see what kind of performance we put on with the team that then plays in that game. We've got quite a small available first team playing staff at the minute. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many changes are made and how seriously we take that game. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing this Man City performance, this commitment and this level of execution being now the watermark for the rest of the season going forward. We are still only in our second season. I still don't feel we have the squad that Ange is going to need if he's really going to challenge at the top end. But we've certainly got enough to have a really positive season and hopefully to, win something. And we need to now have a level that we don't drop below, or if we do, it is very, very rare. Whereas at the minute, we are very up and down. We're very zigzag. We need to get rid of the zigzag. We need to have positive, and every now and then a drop off, which is very natural in a team that's still building towards the team it wants to be. So let's stay positive. Let's see what we can do against Roma on Thursday. But at least we go into this next run of games with the real positivity. And let's see how well we can do. Have a great week, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.